All right. Welcome to another episode of the Start podcast. I am your host, Brady Silverwood. Just want to say if you're listening to this and you've listened to a couple other episodes, thank you so much. It's been amazing to hear the feedback from people, and I'm learning as this whole thing goes. So, kind of like the name of the podcast, I just started and I didn't know that much about how you run a podcast. So, any advice you can give me will help me so much. So, I appreciate all the feedback thus far. If this is your first time listening, um, we got a cool episode. Not all episodes are gonna be like this. Usually I'm the host and I interview someone else that's found success in all different areas of life. But today, I figured because you're gonna be hearing from me being the host a lot. I wanted to kind of give my backstory a little. So my boy Martine Vicario, the man behind everything. Just like everything in life, he's literally behind it. No. um, Anyways, he's one of my really good friends. He's been helping me out with the podcast thus far, with all the sound editing, all of that good stuff.
We need a title, dude. I need like a cool title. Producer, Like I gotta be able to tell my friends, like, yo, like, what have you been doing with this podcast? Oh, what? Producer, engineer. What? Come on, dude. Give me something cool. You
What do
gotta
you mean?
promote
You
me.
can,
You can't.
bro.
I
You
can't just
can
be.
choose it. You can choose it.
I'm executive producer.
All right, executive producer Marty V. Um, if you can find him on social media at Marty Vix. He's also like he does really cool shit on the side. Also, I usually don't cuss, so I'm trying not to cuss so this can be kids friendly. So
Wow.
forget that last part. We're moving forward. Anyways, yeah, Marty is gonna be interviewing me today about kind of some stories in my life, and yeah, so you guys can get a taste of kind of why this podcast exists. Before we get to that, if you listen to last week's episode, we just incorporated this new thing where I talk about a positive story that I hear about in the news. And I share it with you because anytime you see someone doing good or you hear about it, it makes you feel good and it also empowers you to do the same. So I want to share more positivity with the world. For this story of this week, I was on Facebook scrolling through and I saw this picture, and it was a younger gentleman holding the hand of, like, I think she's a 96-year-old woman on a flight from Raleigh, North Carolina to Miami, Florida. And apparently, this woman had not flown on an airplane for like 15 years. And she was really nervous, really afraid. And this younger gentleman who didn't know her whatsoever decided to hold her hand during takeoff, landing. Apparently, the person that was sitting right next to them, her name was Ashley Greenborough. She witnessed all of this and posted the picture. And when the lady would like go to the bathroom, the gentleman would watch her closely to make sure she was okay and everything. And when they landed, he made sure that someone was there to pick her up and everything. And anyways, she thought it was such a special thing. She shared it on Facebook and it went berserk. So anyways, I saw that story and I thought that was really cool. And I really like this story because I don't even know the guy's name. So it just makes it like it can be any of us. Any of you can look out for someone that needs help. And Marty V, your phone just went
Sorry,
off
dude.
during my podcast. Are
Dude,
you serious?
how dare I?
Put your phone on airplane mode,
How
man.
dare I, dude?
That was
I'm sorry.
disrespectful. I think we might have to make you like executive producer right there.
Executive to the executive.
No, so that was pretty much that positive story. Again, if you want to look it up, I found the actual article about it on Entertainment Online. So if you want to check it out, that's where you should go.
Yo, Shadow.
Oh yeah, I gotta move to the side so there's no
See,
shadow.
I gotta executive produce. No, that's a verb. Executive produce you while I don't like being on this side of the camera, bro. How do you feel being on that side of the couch, huh?
Oh yeah, so because I'm usually asking the questions, my favorite side of the couch is on the left, and because I'm being interviewed, I'm on the right tonight. All right, Marty, do you even have questions for me? How's this
Dude,
gonna go?
okay. Well, this one I think we should. Wait, can you pass me my $5 cup of coffee over there?
Did you plan all this?
No, I didn't. I thought I was going to be on that side.
Okay.
Gary Vee would be disappointed. You paid $5 for a cup of coffee? Okay, so Brady, as executive producer, we talked about your listeners getting to know you. So, I was thinking a good place to start off, and you can agree or disagree, is Sunnyco. So you go to University of Arizona. This is like when you started your like entrepreneurial career, let's say. So you and Alan start Sunnyco. How did you all start Sunnyco and why?
Okay,
Like, how did you come up with the idea?
so it started when I was 20 years old, and me and some of my friends I went to the University of Arizona, and we were really big into like our sports and everything. So we went to a football game at USC, and really there was not much studying or business discussed while we were out there. It was a lot of just, at the time I was really into partying, so that's what I did out there. And anyways, really fun weekend. And when we were getting ready to come drive back to Tucson, Arizona, one of the guys in the car, one of my friends, Doug, he said to everyone in the car, there's maybe like 6 or 7 of us in the car, and he said, did you guys notice those cheerleading skirts that all these girls at USC would wear to the game and tailgate?
Okay.
And all of us in the car were like, yeah, what was with that? It was such a trend, and
And
like,
that's specific to USC at the time?
yeah, it was specific to USC.
Like you didn't see it at U of A?
No, so well, here's the thing. So, pretty much what Doug said is he said it's such a good look. Why doesn't anyone bring that skirt to U of A? And we had actually noticed some girls, not many, but some girls from U of A, like went to American Apparel and got like a plain white or a plain blue skirt and actually wore it to that USC football game. So they were already showing that they were like interested in that look. They were pretty much copying it in a sense.
Gotcha.
And so we're on the way back to Tucson, and he says this, and like everyone in the car agreed that like this is a great idea. Someone should bring this skirt to U of A and sell it to U of A girls. And for whatever reason, man, like it just stuck in my head, and I could not get the thought out of my head. Like, wow, this could, I had always kind of like wanted to start a company, but I never knew like what I would be doing, and I was not into fashion at all, but I was like, this is a great idea. There's demand for it.
Right.
There's not much supply. Like, I should do this. So when I got back to my house in Arizona, my roommate was Alan.
Okay.
Told him the idea right away. So this was November 2015. The football season was almost over. So me and Alan just said, how about we'll get some skirts ready to sell by the next football season?
Gotcha. Okay.
And so I guess like our why for starting it was just like, I mean, I'm not going to lie. It was just like as simple as there's a product that people are looking for,
Right.
and they don't really have a place to go get it. Let's provide them that.
Gotcha. So y'all saw the demand, and then y'all made Sunnyco, and it was just Sunnyco skirts, right?
Yeah, so we like, I mean, just the way we did everything was just so unorthodox. Like we went to the USC bookstore, actually like looked at the skirts. I think we bought them
Oh, okay.
and tried them on. Me and
Wow.
Alan went in the bathroom and tried on these skirts.
Yo, Shadow, bro.
Oh, sorry.
You gonna be like this the whole time?
No, we're fine. Are you gonna edit this part
you're
out, bro?
regretting this, dude.
Oh my
You're
gosh,
regretting.
because this is on. Yeah, you're gonna just call me out the whole.
I'm
podcast.
sorry, dude. It's just like I can't be behind the camera being like, move. Okay. Anyway,
Yeah,
So y'all
so
tried the suits on.
yeah, we tried them on,
The
and
skirts. The skirts.
anyways, we found out that the manufacturer was in Los Angeles. They had two styled skirts. One was in Los Angeles and one was in Missouri.
Okay.
So we went to the one in Los Angeles, and she wanted to sell us a skirt for like $35, and we were like, no way, that's way too expensive.
The same
Whatever.
manufacturers as USC's.
Yep, same as USC's.
$35.
$35. And then we called the Missouri manufacturer, and they had it was Connie and Lori at Third Street Sportswear, and they both had like these, like Missouri accents. They're just hilarious and really friendly, and they didn't. To be honest, they thought it was a little odd that two young college men were trying to like purchase all these skirts, but they were really cool, and they were gonna sell it to us for $14. So we were like,
nice.
okay, we're gonna go this way, and it was just super simple. We're like, let's do two skirts, one white skirt with a red trim, a red stripe at the bottom, and then one red skirt with a blue stripe at the bottom. And we thought only University of Arizona girls would buy these skirts.
Right.
But also we didn't have licensing, so we didn't put our school logo onto the skirts.
Right, just the colors.
Yeah.
Okay.
So then when the football season rolled around, it was probably August. We got a website. We just used Shopify.com. I talked to one of my brother's friends, and his name's Max. He runs a pool float company called Fun Boy. And Max had used Shopify, and he was like, it's a very user-friendly platform. We had no idea how to build a website, so we're like, all right, we'll pay for a service. They take a little bit of a cut off of the sales.
Okay.
And yeah, we got a website up. We were called Sunny Skirts.
Okay, Sunny Skirts.
I came up with the name. I remember the first skirt name I wanted to do was Spirit Skirts, and that was trademarked. So then I just landed on Sunny because I felt like sunshine is correlated with like good times, happiness, whatever.
Right.
And yeah, so sunnyskirts.com. I believe we priced the skirts originally at $49.99.
Okay.
And our first sale was like on August 8th, 2016, and it was to one of our friends. So
Okay.
her name was Maddie. It was kind of a bittersweet moment because you get a sale, but it was also to like one of our friends. So it was almost like a pity sale in a sense.
Yeah, but you gotta start somewhere.
Yeah, we were on the board. But no, from there it was like, I remember just we would go to sororities, we would talk at their chapters, we would bring the skirts, show them, have big sales, and then it started to get where like we would just be getting orders on our website, and we're like, we don't know any of these people.
Wow.
So this is like, they're really into this.
So quick question: how many skirts did you buy the first time?
The first order, that's a good one. I want to say the first batch we ordered about 300.
Oh, wow, okay.
300 skirts, like 150
And
of the different styles.
where did you keep your inventory at?
Do you know the answer to this
No,
one?
I don't.
Oh, I literally kept it in my closet. So we were at this apartment complex at Arizona called The Hub.
And you and Alan were still together? Like
Yeah,
living
so
together?
Alan, not in the same room. Alan had his own room. But for whatever reason, we decided upon having the skirts in my closet. So, I mean, I had a dresser where my clothes would go, but then in my closet, I saved up all this space, and we'd box the skirts. We'd have handwritten. I think on the skirt boxes, we would put like sizes. So they're already in there, and all we would add to the box was like a handwritten note that we would write up right before giving it to the customers. But yeah, it was all word of mouth. And the craziest thing is like all these girls loved the way they looked on game days so much in our skirts that they would just tag us. They would go at Sunny Skirts, thanks so much, game days with my girlies or something like that. And Arizona is like 60%, I want to say, out of state. So these girls would be posting on social media, and all their friends from out of state in college are like, wait, this is a trendy look. Like, I want a skirt,
Right.
So then we'd start to get on our Instagram, like, requests from other colleges, like girls at
Oh,
other colleges,
okay.
and we would be like, well, I mean, right now we only make two styled skirts. If you want a custom one for your school, like, can you get a group order? Can you get like your whole sorority to buy one?
Yeah.
So yeah, we got like group orders to like TCU. I
Wow.
remember we got a couple sororities out there. Colorado, Boulder, we got a couple out there. Oklahoma, Indiana.
How big were these group orders? Like 50?
Some of them were like 80.
Okay.
We'd
And
sell like 80 skirts.
would you only from the supplier, what do you call it? Supplier, designer, whatever?
Supplier.
Okay, your supplier. Would you get extra in case that school more people from that school wanted some, or
Yeah,
would you
so
just
that was
get
kind of the idea. We thought that
okay.
if we got a certain amount, that we should get a little bit extra because hopefully those girls circulating with the skirts, more
Right.
traction. There will be more people that want them out there. Um, but yeah, within like, I'd say probably it was like 3 months,
Uh-huh.
we were selling to like over 30 colleges.
Wow, dude.
And because we didn't use the school logos,
Right.
it
Just
was so
colors.
generic that it could be sold anywhere, really.
Right.
Um, yeah, I remember we got one sale like University of Hawaii, and me and Alan were just like, dude, what is happening
That's
right
so
now?
cool,
Like, we
dude.
just sold one to Hawaii.
Wow.
Um,
So this is all within the same football season
um,
that you started just with Arizona in August. August 8th, you said, first sale?
August 8th, 2016. So the
Okay.
initial trip that like we were like, oh, this is a good idea. That was in November of 2015,
15.
the year
Okay.
before.
So you had like 9 months to prepare.
Yeah.
Okay. Math. 10. Okay. So like you just start with Arizona and then you're in 30 schools in the same like 4 month period of football season.
Yeah.
Right? Jeez.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And I love this story because it really just shows everyone like how we honestly were just like scrambling to figure it all out.
Yeah.
The first order I was in charge. I'll tell this embarrassing story, but I was in charge of I guess once we got our logo for these sunny skirts to put the tags on the skirts.
So they had nothing.
They had nothing, and we were gonna put the tag on the inside.
Okay.
And so I was working with this like LA manufacturer of like these like clothing tags, and I remember her like asking me. I sent her like the logo design. I was like, yeah, it all looks good, and she's like, all right, what are like the measurements you want? Like, it could be all, you know, tag sizes are all different, and I just told her 2x2.
Mm-hmm.
When the skirts came in,
Mm-hmm.
and we our manufacturer actually sewed the tags onto the skirts.
Okay.
We looked at these tags, Marty, and we were just like, I remember I was just like, oh my god, like
What?
2 inches by 2 inches. It's just funny. Like, you won't see if anyone out there can find a tag that's 2 inches by 2 inches on any of your clothes, like, please hit me up
Is that big
because
or small?
it's way too big.
Oh,
Way too big.
okay.
So like I didn't even think twice. I was like, oh, 2 inches by 2 inches, whatever. It's probably like 1 inch by 1 inch is like what it should be.
Okay.
And anyways, that was something we were like literally like, oh my god, like we already made such a big mistake. They're on all the skirts, and to this day, not one girl ever brought it up. Not one
Really?
customer, because it
Sweet.
was on the inside.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
think they probably just like would all rip them off. Um, but no, dude, like it's just funny because like when I look back at our company, there were so many little things like that.
Yeah.
And it's like if we did 49 things wrong, we did 50 things right, you know? And that's kind of
Right.
like what it's like when you're running a company.
Well, and
you know?
as you said in episode 1, as you freestyled it, it's like you're humanizing successful people. Whereas, like, before you get into business, you see something and you're like, oh, it's such a well oiled machine. Like, everyone knows what they're doing. And, like, that's like a prime example. Like,
No.
yeah, exactly. Okay, so football season ends. And then basically what I'm trying to ask is when did you decide to start doing bathing suits? Going from skirts to bathing suits?
So, yeah, football season ended. On we were on such a good note. I remember towards the end of that football season, we actually started selling our skirts at one of the stores on campus.
Wow.
Um, and for us, that was so like cool because like my parents came and visited for parents weekend, and I remember like my dad would like look around and be like, "Oh, Brady, is that like your skirt?" And
Wow.
like you just see girls around campus wearing our skirt. And
Not even game days, just like
uh
class attire.
mm, maybe some girls would do that,
Uh-huh.
but for the most part, no. I think this was like actually like game day.
Oh, okay, okay.
But anyways, it was just cool to say to your parents like, "Oh yeah, like that is my
Yeah,
skirt over
dude.
there."
That's crazy.
And I remember my parents just kind of they told me they're like, if you want to do this full time after college and you're able to pay for all your stuff, like you can do this. And that was like such a big I remember it literally felt like a relief off my shoulders. I was like, hell yeah, I'm gonna do this after college. Like, are
Yeah,
you
dude.
kidding? This
That's
is
awesome.
awesome. And we just knew we could tell like, we're going up, 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 and then we're starting to slow down. And I remember having a conversation with Alan, and it just had to do with, we can sell these skirts maybe during the spring for basketball season, but I feel like this is going to be primarily a sell that we make during football season, which is only 4 months out of the year.
Right.
Are we going to be able to sustain a really, profitable business only? And there's a lot of businesses out there that will say during like Tipsy Elves, they sell like I want to say it's like Christmas onesies or whatever,
Yeah.
and they crush it just during December, and that's like their month.
Right.
And like there's companies that exist like that, but for us, we were so small and young that like we we just weren't planning ahead with so many things, and we knew like we needed to come out with some more products that we could sell during the like
Off season.
slower other
Yeah.
parts of the year.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just said to Alan, I was like, dude, we're in Arizona. It's hot year round. And I told him, I said, I know so many girls that own so many bathing suits, and they're not like loyal to just one brand.
Right.
And I like that because everyone, when we went into swimwear, everyone was like, that's such a saturated market. You're going to have no success in swimwear. Like,
Dude, people say that about everything.
everything.
Everything,
Podcasts.
dude.
Like, I got that. Someone
Podcasts,
told me that last week, and I was like,
music.
yeah, I'm still coming out with more pods, baby. Uh, no, but yeah, so everyone said it was so saturated, and we kind of were just like, you know what? Like, whatever. We're going to find a way to sell swimwear to girls at our school.
Right.
So we we decided pretty much to go straight to China.
Mm-hmm.
We went through Alibaba.com.
Oh, okay.
Um, if you guys have never heard of Alibaba and want to check it out, their
Dude.
founder story is like unbelievable. I want to say at one point he was like trying to work for like KFC or some restaurant like that,
Uh-huh.
and he was like the only one to not get the job out of like 30 people. So like
Wow.
this guy's a boss. But anyways, we went to Alibaba.com. Pretty much they are just like a third party to manufacturers in China
Mm.
that you can just quickly get the materials and products you need. And we just got these catalogs from some of these manufacturers of all these swimwear, all these bathing suits. And we would go around at our apartment complex to different girls' rooms. There would be like maybe 4 girls in one room. We'd ask them to go through the entire catalogs, like away from each other so they couldn't see what their responses were.
Yeah.
And they would just tell us maybe their top 5 suits. So then we would go to maybe like 4 other apartments,
Wow.
and then at the end of that, look at all the data and see, okay, all these girls said they wanted this suit. all these girls said they wanted this one, and then we'd come up with like, I think our initial swimsuit launch had maybe 5 different suits. Kept it really simple, just the designs the girls liked. And it was really hard, man. When we started that year, January 2017, we made a name change as well from Sunny Skirts to Sunny Co. Clothing. Um, I just felt like if we were called Sunny Skirts, it would
Right.
really limit our future
Right.
kind of
Right.
with the company.
Yeah.
And yeah, we started selling swimwear, and girls knew us so much by that point as like oh, these are the Sunny Skirt guys, that it was really hard those first few months to be like, no, like we also sell swimwear as
Right.
well.
Right.
Um, but finally, it started to catch on, and I'd say going into that spring break
Mm.
is when it really was starting to pick up. I mean, we had still maybe in the first 5 months of selling swimwear that year, we had only sold maybe 200 suits. But out of those sales, we would be selling some suits for like 80% off to like girls with say 10,000 followers,
Oh,
20,000
okay.
followers, and we would do that underground, like Instagram DMs, and just be like, "Hey, we'll give you this suit for 80% off." The suit would be like on our website for like $100. So they're like, "Wow, I'm getting an 80% off deal."
Did you already have the seahorse logo on those?
Um, so that was I'd say January, February, March. That was probably in April. So like 4 months in, we came up with the logo. For
Gotcha.
for a while, we were just selling it, and we had a tag on the inside, but no
Okay.
logo.
Okay.
Um, yeah, and then so we pretty much were doing all those underground sales, and it just goes to prove like all we wanted to do was have more girls out there knowing about our company, knowing about our swimwear, and hopefully wearing it, or wearing any of our clothes for that matter. And yeah, we came at the beginning of that year as well. We decided on the Sunny Coast Seahorse was our logo, and we actually just, like I was saying, just put those on the suits probably in April, and it all comes together for what happened in May. So
Oh, dude.
beginning of May, um, this is like the craziest story. If you're listening right now, if you're listening right now, there's a possibility that like you've heard of this and you just didn't know that I was a part of this, and
Right.
you're gonna be like, whoa,
That's what
because
happened to
that
me, dude.
happens a lot when I tell people this story. So it was second, May 2nd, 2017, and Alan came into my room. I think it was maybe a Wednesday morning, and we had been out the night before drinking, and I was a little hungover and tired, and Alan storms into my room, and at this time we were trying lots of different things. So we would just like one day wake up and be like, let's do a 50% off sale on Instagram.
Yeah.
And then we get all these orders and be like, wow, that was cool. Like, let's try something else. Let's keep, messing with things. So he comes in my room. He's like, what if we did a big promotion with the suits, and we could just give away some suits for free and then charge shipping and handling? We had seen some like watch companies on Instagram do something similar.
Yeah.
And
The similar thing you guys did, like the.
no, no, no. So just the shipping and handling part, we thought
Gotcha.
we were really fascinated by that.
Okay.
How you could charge for shipping and handling, cover your costs, and then in doing so, you're pretty much having all these people rep your brand in your product.
Right.
Um, so yeah, he tells me that idea, and I was just like, whatever, Alan. Yeah, let's do it. And I was kind of the guy that like would put the captions together and do all the posts, and execute the kind of ideas for our marketing campaigns on Instagram. So I put together this caption, and this is where that talk about the logo comes in handy. I picked a picture of a girl sitting by a pool, and you can see the white seahorse logo on the back of her red one piece swimsuit. It's called the Pamela swimsuit. Um, Anyways, so it's just funny to think back on that because I almost picked another picture where like these girls were holding these like huskies,
Right.
and they're standing just forward,
Right.
and you can't see the logo because the logo's in the back. So anyways, it was really just ideal that we had already printed those logos on the suits and everything. And I picked this picture, I put together a caption. I say, if 100 girls share this photo, then everyone who shared it and everyone after will get a free red, or just any color, free Pamela swimsuit, one piece swimsuit. And maybe an hour passes. I'm at the University of Arizona. There's a mall. It's really just a big field. We would just call it the mall. So I'm on the mall playing football with my friend Nate Heiser, who will actually come into probably later in this podcast with something else I do in my life. But he was just my friend, and we're out there playing catch with the football. And that, I love to say that part because it just goes to show, like, I could care less about this promotion. I was like, whatever.
Right.
This promotion's just like something we're trying out. Maybe we'll get like 20 girls to do it, and then we'll give away 20 suits. So an hour passes, Marty, and only 4 girls shared the post. Only 4. So Alan's all calling me, and he's like, dude, should we take it down? Should we take it down?
Ooh,
And I was telling him, I was telling him, I was like, you know what? Yeah, I think maybe we should take it down. And I don't know who said it. I think Alan said, let's switch up the caption, maybe.
Okay.
Maybe it's like the way we're telling this, or the way we're explaining this promotion's making it kind of confusing for people.
Yeah.
So he said, instead of share, let's say repost. Because that, I mean, at this time, reposting was like this was like Instagram evolved so much during the time of my company.
Yeah.
Like stories weren't even around at this time.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
Stories were later. Anyways, reposting was like a new concept. So, yeah, he said that. So I changed the caption to say repost instead of share.
Yeah.
And then I was thinking to myself, I was like, you know what? There shouldn't be a threshold of like 100 people.
Yeah.
So I was the one that said, let's do everyone. Like, if you have a phone and you repost this picture, you're getting a free suit.
Not even thinking of the possibility of like it reaching past 100.
Yeah.
Not even fathoming that.
I mean,
so you were just like everyone.
I literally thought like 100 people,
Right.
So, yeah, the next, I'd say, like, let's say the next 9 hours, how about? The next 9 hours, our Instagram went from, I think we're at 7,400 followers or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And our Instagram went to like, I want to say over 10,000 followers. So we'd grown 3,000 followers in 9 hours.
Uh-huh.
And I couldn't have been more stoked, Marty. I was adding to, maybe, I'm trying to think if stories were around. Maybe stories were around. Who knows? But regardless, I was like, I think stories must have been around because I remember posting to my story. Yeah, so stories were around. JK on that. I just fact checked myself. Stories were around, and I was posting like, hey guys, look, no way. We have a K next to our account. Because, dude, we grew this account from like pretty much zero. And dude, me and Alan would spend hours upon hours unfollowing, doing the follow unfollow game.
Right.
We would only unfollow the people that unfollowed us.
Right. Yeah.
After following us for a while. So we would do that game like all the time, just grind on this account. So when we got to the K, I was like just like, oh my gosh, we got a K.
Win.
So then what happened? All right, we wake up the next morning. We wake up the next morning, dude. And Alan's banging on my door, dude. Mm-hmm. Banging on my door.
Yeah.
And I won't say her name, but I had a girl in my room with me, and I was just not thinking about the promotion or anything like that. I was just chilling in my bed.
Yeah.
and he's freaking out. He's like, Brady, you need to come out here right now. You need to come out here right now. You don't know what's happened. You like this is insane, dude. This is crazy. And I remember he even called my mom. He's like, Brady's his room's locked. He won't come out. He's with the girl in there. And I was just like, Alan, I'll be out in a little. I'll be out in a little.
It's like
So
you
I
don't
come outside
understand.
finally, and like I understand the weight of everything. At this time, I'd say it was maybe like 6, 7 a.m. And we were at 100,000 followers on Instagram.
Dude, that's
So
so crazy.
I remember I go to like the bathroom and like I'm in my bathroom and I look at my phone and I see an article that someone shared with me and it was Time magazine talking about this viral red bathing suit on Instagram.
Dude.
And I think of all the things that hit me the most because I mean we got like Daily Mail talking about us, Adweek, we had Vogue, Yahoo, like
Dude, World Star memes.
yeah, everyone was talking about us. But Time, like I just grew up always like really adoring Time,
Right.
and then we were number 2 trending on Twitter that day as well. So I mean all these things just like I couldn't believe it. I was in the shower. I'll never forget this. I was in the shower and like warm water was coming out and I was like shivering in the shower. I was just like it was like it was chaos. It was
Dude.
just like what is going on? My friends would text me in their class
Yeah,
and they're
sure.
like, "Dude, all I'm doing in my class right now is refreshing your Instagram up and down because like I want to say I don't know what the math is on it, but like I want to say like every minute we were gaining like 1,000 followers. It was something just ridiculous like that, and they're like, "Dude, this is insane to watch."
So crazy, dude.
So we peaked out. So the beginning of that first day of posting it, we had 7,400 followers. At the peak, in those 24 hours, we got up to 787,000 followers.
Dude. That's like the record, right? For most. Or it was for a while, right?
It was. I think probably like when Jennifer Aniston just recently got her
Okay,
Instagram
okay.
that like blew it, but uh we got like our source said that we had close to 2 million reposts on the photo,
Jesus. Dude.
which I mean, I know that egg just recently got like a ton
Oh,
of
that's right.
likes,
That's
but I
right.
can't think of anything else that's been reposted, like
Right.
recirculated so much. And the funny thing is like Instagram froze our account
Right.
because they thought we were like a bot.
Right.
And what's so funny about that is like it didn't matter. Like once we had posted that picture, it was like the virus had spread
Yeah.
because we weren't doing anything else. It was everyone else like reposting
Right.
it.
You just look
It
back.
literally like just blocked everyone's feed for that day. Um, so that really blew up our company. It was chaotic time.
Something that you almost took down became like the biggest thing
Yeah,
that you'd ever experienced at that point.
yeah.
And then, okay, so let's say once you're done shivering, once you're like kind of back to reality, you have what 787,000 requests for suits. So
Yeah, well,
what do
that's
you
the
do?
wild
What
thing.
do
We
you do
only we
now,
only
dude?
told them right to like repost it, and
Right.
that's what everyone like when they'll talk to me, they'll be like, "Yeah, you asked them to like the post, follow you, all these things." I'm like, "No, like they just did that because they wanted these suits so bad."
Right.
And yeah, so I mean, me and Alan were like, "Yo." At this point, our manufacturer in China had only made us 200 suits. So we're like, yeah, they can't make us 2 million.
Oh,
So
two
we immediately
million
had to
suits.
decide on a number of the suits we would ask our manufacturer to make us. And I told Alan, I was like, what about like 100,000? Maybe we could take in 100,000 orders and be able to fulfill those. And Alan's dad had some experience in import export
Oh,
in Mexico, and I think he would import and export like toys. He
okay.
would just sell toys, and he told us he was like, there is no way the Chinese manufacturers without any notice can just come up with 100,000 suits in like 2 weeks, or the time span you guys need them. That
Right.
was another thing. We chose the time span of 3 to 6 weeks without any knowledge of how long any of this would take.
Before it went viral or after?
After it went viral, when we posted the picture with a free code, so that's what we had to do.
Right.
We had to pretty much say, since there's so many girls that reposted, our initial thought was, oh, we'll message every girl the individual code, like no chance in hell. So at this point, we just publicly gave out a code.
Yeah.
I think it was just Pamela. That
Okay.
was, or no, it was just Sunny. It was the name of our company. We just used Sunny,
Okay.
and we give out this code. We say, you'll get your suit in 3 to 6 weeks. You have to pay for shipping and handling with this code on our website. And pretty much since Alan's dad said 100,000 suits, you can't. There's no way that's gonna happen. We came back at him with, what about 50,000?
Yeah.
And he said, no, that's still too many. And me and Alan were like stubborn, so we're like, no, we're gonna do 50K.
What? Too many? Why?
He just said in that time period, it
Oh,
will be
okay.
too
It will-
stressful for them to be able to produce that many suits that quick.
Gotcha.
I mean, we had no idea. We were just like, oh my God, this is nuts. We obviously were like, we want to take in more orders.
Right.
So we post the code on our website. We had no idea if we would even get 50,000 orders, but we made 50,000 codes of Sunny where girls could check out
Okay.
with the code Sunny, 50,000 different girls, I guess.
So just the first 50,000.
First
that
50,000 that used that code on our website.
Okay.
So I remember calling my dad, dude, after let me think, maybe after 10, no, was it 10 minutes? Oh, man. Regardless, I called him and I asked him, I was like, Dad, how many orders do you think we've had? It had only been maybe like 5 minutes, let's say.
You're still in Arizona during all this.
Yeah.
So you're still in college.
Yeah,
As a
yeah.
student. Shit. Okay.
It maybe been like 7 minutes. I can't think of the math right now, but I was like, Dad, we've had 10,000 orders, and it was remarkable. It ended up being 50,072 orders
Okay.
in like 29 minutes.
Wow.
And the nuts thing is, we're like, how did 50,072 orders go through? Because we only made 50,000 codes.
Yeah.
And so we contacted our provider, Shopify, and they told us, they're like, that has never happened in all of our history. And this is like $1 billion company.
Yeah.
Huge.
Yeah.
It's massive. And they told us, they're like, 72 orders came in at the same millisecond. It blew our mind,
Oh,
dude.
it's so
it
funny.
literally blew our mind.
Jesus, dude. You guys are on cloud 9 at this point, too.
Yeah, I remember we were freaking out. We were by our business school, Eller, and we are freaking out, like so pumped, just screaming at the top of our lungs, just so fired up. And then like a couple minutes later, we were just like, it like kind of set in, and we are like, oh my God, like how are we gonna do this? We had no manufacturer, 50,000 orders.
Reality hits.
I mean, we had less than 1,000 orders in 8 months of work, and then
Right.
50,000 in like 29 minutes.
Dude.
So, yeah, those next weeks were crazy. I remember we were 10 days into this thing, still without a manufacturer.
Really?
We hadn't. The one we had was starting to be really sketchy, and she was telling us like we had to wire her money to some foreign account, and
Whoa.
and she had recently like been fired from her old boss, and like didn't tell us, and she was starting her new like a new thing.
Yeah.
And we were just like, all right, this is too many red flags. I remember that's what we said. We're
These
like,
are the people that did the
the
suits.
first batch of like our original suits. So now we're like, we're going on a limb, because we're like completely gonna be ordering a different suit. Let me phrase it this way: we're gonna have a different manufacturer. Hopefully, they can make that same suit that our first manufacturer made.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But yeah, we gave them all the requirements of the first suit, like
Okay.
all the materials and everything, percentage this, percentage that, and Alan, this is a true story,
Uh-huh.
flew to China like 6 hours after our graduation ceremony. So that's what a lot of
Oh,
people don't know is when all this happened and we were going viral, it was a week before finals. So we were dealing with graduating from college.
right.
Your finals, you don't want to mess those up right
Yeah,
before
yeah, yeah.
graduation. And yeah, so right after we graduated, Alan got on a flight to China. I had to stay back because we had about 1,000 orders that were full priced of all our other products.
Okay, so you were
So
dealing with
I
that.
had to actually like hand pick and like make all the make all those orders go out and
Right.
like hit the post office and all that. I had to ship them all out. So I had to stay back, and Alan went to China with our suit in hand and was somehow able to find a manufacturer to produce 50,000 suits for us, and like I think he actually cleared the 2 week mark with all of it.
Wow. So
Yeah.
y'all were studying for finals and taking finals after y'all went viral?
Yeah, so I
Jesus,
probably had like
dude.
say 5 finals.
How do you even focus?
That's what I'm saying. I had like 4 or 5 finals, and I remember I took maybe 2 of them, and then the rest of them, I just
Yeah.
emailed the professors like, yo, I think I emailed them articles.
Yeah, like a Time
Like,
Magazine
yeah,
link.
Time
Like, yo, this
Magazine, all the
happened.
big
I
articles. I was just
cannot.
like, yo, like,
They must have understood.
yeah, a lot of them did. And what I ended up doing, my parents didn't find out until maybe just, honestly, probably the end of last year. I think I told them. But they just told me, they say you have to finish these. You can walk at graduation, but you won't actually receive your diploma in mail
Okay.
until you redo those finals.
Okay.
So I just told them like maybe at the end of May, once all this has died down, I'll come back out to Arizona and finish the finals. So that's what I did. And yeah, man, it was so hectic. The manufacturer was able to make those 3 styles like that. We found someone in Los Angeles to help us with fulfillment because it's gonna take 2 weeks for all the suits to get here, plus 10 days. So now that's like already over 3 weeks, and now we have like 2.5 weeks to ship all these, like to get these suits to these girls' doors in time.
Right.
And so this guy was a legend in LA. It was just set up through pretty much a family connection,
Mm-hmm.
and he worked with really big brands like Nike and Adidas, and he pretty much like the day say, because all the batches didn't ship. It wasn't like he got 50,000 one day. He would get like 20,000 one day, and then he'd get like 15,000 another day, and they wouldn't
Right.
all come at the same time.
Right.
But he would be able to like say that 20,000 came in one day,
Yeah.
be able to get them all out that same day.
Really?
Yeah, so he had all the tags already. We were able to like
Oh,
connect it with our website to where he could print tags before the suits all came, and then
man.
he had all these workers just shipping them out. But everything cost us so much, and that is another crazy part is we chose the price of the shipping and handling
Right.
before having the manufacturer,
Mm-hmm.
before knowing how much the suits were going to cost us, before knowing like import taxes, before knowing how much it was going to cost to just ship these things out,
Right.
website fees, all these things we had no clue.
Yeah.
And like somehow, kind of like what I was saying earlier with like we did 49 things wrong and then we do 50 things right.
Right.
Like somehow we were actually able to make money on the whole thing and we donated $50,000 to the Alzheimer's Foundation of America,
Wow.
and then we had a little extra change for ourselves to keep building the company
Wow.
and all that free advertising and everything.
Yeah, dude.
And
That's crazy.
I still remember when the fulfillment center, he sent us this text, and he just said all gone, and it was maybe 2 days after 5 weeks. So we had gotten all suits shipped
Mm-hmm.
before that 6 week mark that we had promised.
Wow. Man, that's so hectic.
It's just like, it's funny. Even me telling the story like makes me kind of exhausted because like
I'm sure.
when I go back to it, like, dude, I've never had, because we went viral for one day and like everyone who saw it was like, that was so exciting, you know?
Yeah.
But like for us, I remember like it was nonstop for like a full month
Yeah.
of like so much stress and so much just like, oh my gosh,
You had to
like,
figure
are
everything
we
out.
gonna be able to do this? Like before even landing that manufacturer,
Right.
when ours was being all sketchy, I remember I went into Alan's room
Mm-hmm.
and I was like on his bed in the fetal position just because I was so just nervous. Like,
Yeah.
how are we
You
gonna
got
pull this
50,000
off?
orders of suits that you don't have, and you don't have the people that are going to make them, and you have 6 weeks. That's crazy. I mean, like, I'm not surprised because y'all are really ambitious, but, like, dude, such an achievement. You almost have felt such a, like, weight off your shoulders. Like, once
Yeah.
he's like, all shipped out, you're like, oh.
I remember
breathe.
Alan didn't react as like relieved as I did because like at this point in our company it was like, all right, now we're on to the next thing. But I remember I was literally like, dude, like look at this text right now, like, oh my god, like we did it, like we pulled this thing off somehow.
You probably lost, like, 2 years of your lifespan from that month.
Yeah,
Just stress.
we joked about that, like, yeah, we're gonna get gray hair a little bit early from that, but
Yeah. All right, dude. Well, unless you have more to say about that, I guess we can segue to you moving to LA and you never having been a good runner, and then you starting to
that thing.
Yeah, that whole thing, dude. So you start. Okay, so somebody from the run club, right, hits you up, one of your friends.
Yeah, so I guess I mean to transition it, um, like the best way I guess is I moved to LA, after we blew up with Sunny Co. Like we stayed in Arizona for a little, worked out there. Then in 2018, we pretty much started traveling a lot. We'd be able to work as we are traveling, and I remember in 2019 or end of 2018, I was like really just like wanting to come out to LA. I couldn't like explain the reason, but I just knew I had to be out there.
Yeah.
And just get a taste of LA. Just maybe even if it's just a year, just get a taste of it. And Alan was really like, we were always working and living together, so he was kind of against it, but again, I felt like I needed to come do that. And when I made the move to LA, this was also at a time of the company where I started losing a lot of passion. And me and Alan had a very different vision for where we wanted to take the company. We're having a lot of success, but I remember having like a certain fear that if I stayed in the company for maybe 5 more years, that I would miss out on kind of exploring my inner passions and trying new things. I love to try new things.
Right.
And I felt like maybe I would get a little held back. And even more than that, I just felt like I could be doing more good in my life. You know, in the company, we were selling suits and all that, but I didn't really see the impact we were having. I felt like it was very wishy-washy with like what our purpose was as a company. So anyways, that as I'm in LA, I'm kind of like going through all this, and I joined this run club. It was August 2018, and my roommate Taylor Offer, he was in e-commerce, and he just knew of this run club, and he's like, yeah, it's a lot of fun, whatever. And anyways, it was a early Saturday morning. I was when I was going through this period of like losing motivation with the company, I was partying a lot, and so I was hungover again, and it just sounds like I'm always hungover. I don't drink. I don't drink like anymore really. So I'm not hungover right now. But anyways, so he comes into my room and he says, "Dude, you wanna go to this run club right now? It's like 8 a.m." and I'm just like, like, get out of here, Taylor. Like, no, I'm sleeping, bro. I hated running. I hated it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And so I didn't want to go. And I don't know how he convinced me, but he pretty much dragged me out of bed. And I went with him to this run club. And the only reason I went was because the head guy of the run club, his name's Luke Gledhill. And Luke says to everyone, he says, you know, you can run or walk 3, 4, or 5 miles. So when I heard walk, I was like, all right, these aren't the most serious runners. Fine, I'll go. And I went, and the first day I chose the 3 miles because I hated running. I didn't want to do any more than that.
Mm-hmm.
And I could barely do it, but when I finished, I remember just feeling like, wow, I got something done so early in the day. It was like a good thing for me
Right.
to do it, and I felt really good. Um, so it didn't click right away. Luke got my number, and he would text me every week and just say, "Hey Brady, I hope to see you at Run Club on Saturday again."
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, "What's this guy's deal? Like he's all up in my head now, like, you know." And anyways, I kept my lifestyle going with just the partying and
Right.
whatnot. And I would text him back some mornings and just be like, I'm sick, or like always slept past my alarm. I was
Just
just making
classic.
up
Just
excuses. I
classic.
just
Yeah.
didn't want to
Yeah.
go. And there was a moment, um I would say this was maybe in like September, October-ish, and I just said to myself, you know what, like, I'm not only letting him down by not going, but more importantly, I'm like letting myself down. I just felt like this is a good thing for you to be doing. Stop ignoring it.
Yeah. Right.
And so I started showing up more and more. And then it was like, this is where it got really weird. I would not go out the Friday night before so I could make the run club. So I wouldn't be hungover so I
Some
could make it.
discipline.
And again, this is all like at this point now, I'm negotiating my way out of the company. So Alan is going to buy my shares out of the company.
Okay.
And anyways, I'm still like trying a lot of different things in LA. Like maybe I'm gonna start an app, maybe I'm gonna start a YouTube show. We won't get into that one. But anyways, like lots of different exciting things, and I just knew Sunny Co was no longer gonna be what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And I eventually made that sale of the company in December. That's when we finalized all the paperwork and everything. And I remember just like before in my life, I had never really accomplished anything. So no one was asking me, "Oh, Brady, what are you gonna do later in life?" Like maybe some teachers and like parents,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it wasn't ever like friends and like a lot of people like, "Oh, so what are you doing?" They're like super excited, and I started getting a lot of that when I sold Sunnyco because they're like, "What are you gonna do next?" And dude, I just went through like, and kind of during the time of negotiating Sunnyco and all that, like I'd say maybe September to the end of that year, I was just going through a lot of depression. Like, I'd wake up in the morning and stay in my bed and just like, you know, look out the window, but like not move and just stay in my bed and like just close my eyes again and like and do that like every hour for like a 4 or 5 hour period.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be getting out of bed till like 1 some days. And like I just had no motivation. When I woke up, I wasn't like, you know what, this is what I want to do today, and this
Some
is
some
this is
getting
gonna
you out of bed.
serve me and others in my life.
Right.
And
Running started to be the thing that like got you out of bed.
yeah, so running became the only thing that was really consistent in my life when everything was kind of a blur, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like when I sold the company, it was almost like the company was like my baby. Like I cared about that thing so much.
You got it on your skin.
Yeah, I got the logo on my right wrist. So like it felt like my identity and everything I knew was stripped away from me, and now everyone's asking me what I'm gonna do next, and I had no idea, and I would tell them that I have no idea. I don't know what I'm gonna do next.
In the moment, it's hard to be okay with that. But
Yeah,
like later, you're like, oh, it's cool. Or like your friends will say, or you'll even tell your friends like, it's okay if you don't know what you want to do. But when you're in it, It's kind of like,
Oh, it was so scary. So
yeah.
running was the only thing that stayed consistent in that time. And I did my first half marathon in November. So around that same time,
Of
and
of what year?
of 2018.
Okay.
And I remember my dad came out, and I wrote on this shirt before going out to run this half marathon. I wrote on the shirt all the names of people who had like impacted me in my life,
Hmm.
good and bad, like ex-girlfriend that had wronged me, teacher maybe that had said I was no good at something, coach that cut me or did something, and then all the good too. I would write about my parents' names, friends, all these people, and on the back I just wrote, and everyone else, this is for you. So I felt really I felt really empowered, and I felt like like up until this point, Marty, I had only ran 10 miles at
Hmm.
one time,
Yeah.
and I never even like educated myself on the lingo with marathons, half marathons. I didn't know how far the distances were, because I was just like, you're never going to be able to do that, Brady, so don't even associate yourself with
Yeah.
that stuff,
Uh huh.
So pretty much, man, when I ran that half marathon in Santa Monica, um, it was really emotional at the end, and no one. That's the crazy thing, is like no one knew everything I was going through,
Right.
but I did, and that just meant so much to me to be able to accomplish that, and it just kept going, man. So coming into the new year, I'm around this running group still, and they're all talking about now doing the L.A. marathon, and I again was just like, you know what? Like, I remember when I finished the half marathon, I said to my dad, I said, how the hell do people do a full marathon? That was the first thought I had in my head,
Yeah.
was just like, these people are crazy
Yeah.
to
Right.
to to do the distance I just ran twice. Are you kidding?
So just to get perspective, how many months of running did you do before your half?
Before the half, I'd say, so started the run club probably end of August.
Okay.
So let's say September, October. I'd say like 2.5 months.
Okay.
Um, yeah. Now for the marathon, I had, let me think, 1, 2, 3, 4, probably about 3 months, 3 months to prepare for that. But I had been running now more and more,
Right.
so um, yeah, just remember thinking to myself, you know what? The most miles I've ran now is 15
Mhm.
for this marathon. The marathon's 26.2 miles. Somehow I'm gonna have to pull out 11 miles out of the bag on the race day, and I actually I rolled my ankle a week before the marathon, and I just stopped training, because I was like, well, I trained up until this point,
It
like.
was like black, wasn't it? Part of your ankle?
It was a little swollen, but like I could, like, at first, like, I was just limping around and everything. I had to ice it like crazy, and when it got to that race day, I was like, I'm doing this. Like, there's nothing that can stop me. Like, even if I get injured out there, I don't care.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I went out there, L.A. Marathon, and I remember I hit the wall, because everyone's talking like, you're gonna hit a wall, you're gonna hit the wall. Like,
Right.
I'm like, what is the wall? It's invisible. There's not an actual wall. That would be cool though. They should have an actual wall that you have to like hit. Um, so anyone who's directing marathon races out there listening, that's a good idea.
A little concussion.
Um,
Keep you going.
so yeah, I hit the wall at mile 16. Kind of makes sense
Okay.
when you think of your
Yeah, yeah.
mind. I had only gone 15 up until that
Right,
point.
and you know because there's markers, right? Like
Yeah,
mile
so my
16.
mind is probably
Yep,
telling me, Brady,
that's it.
you've gone 16. Why are you still running? Stop, you know?
Yeah.
You've gone your farthest. And I was like, I got to pull 10 more out. And I remember just thinking, like, I had hit the wall, so I kind of thought in my head, it can only go up from here.
Right.
Like, the worst part is out of the way. So I
Right.
walked a little, and my sister Carly actually joined me for a few miles there. maybe like miles 18 to 21, and got hyped again and was able to finish, man.
Second wind.
Was able to finish it, and this is where the story gets real nuts.
Mm-hmm.
But before even doing that race,
Yeah.
the beginning of that March month, I woke up and I wrote in my journal that I was going to run across the United States of America.
Oh, okay.
And I wrote that I was going to do it to not only inspire myself, but as someone who is depressed and like could barely get out of bed and could barely run 3 miles.
Right.
And I looked it up. I was like, I wonder what the distance of the U.S. is. It's about 3,000 miles. So I was like, to go from 3 to 3,000 miles, that would be so cool. And I wrote that down in my journal before even the marathon.
Okay.
And I just kept it to myself. I didn't tell anyone until
The half Ironman.
half Ironman. So that's
car.
another wild thing that I did. Marty did it with me in Galveston, Texas. And yeah, so I did the half Ironman, and I think the reason I didn't tell anyone before finishing that one is I kind of was like, you know what, if I tell people about the run across America, it's gonna distract me from finishing the LA marathon, and it's gonna distract me from finishing this half
Right.
Ironman.
One thing at a time.
Yeah, one thing at a time,
Yeah.
kind of. But yeah, I told you guys in the car, and you guys were just
Dude.
like,
Yeah, I was like, what? But also, I wasn't surprised because it's you. Like, that's totally something you would do.
really?
Just
Oh.
like, you get your calling, and you're like, boys, I'm running across America, dude. Lunatic, by the way. You're a freaking lunatic. So, you fly to New York, right, to start in.
Yeah, so to give people some background, I thought, because when everyone like thinks of running across America, you immediately go a lot of people's minds immediately go to like 3,000 miles, like New Jersey to San Diego. That is insane. How?
Right.
And where my mind went with it is, how many miles could I do per day? And I thought to myself, I could probably do, and I hadn't even ever ran 5 miles a day, but I said maybe I could do 10. 10
Right.
miles a day would put me at about 300 days to finish this run across America.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought to myself, okay, all right, maybe I could do that. And then what else would I need? What else would I need out there besides, I mean, like food, water, and like clothing? I thought like, okay, those like I could figure out. What about like the big ones? Like, where am I gonna sleep at night? So I thought of an RV. I thought maybe I could rent or buy an RV, and then at night when I'm not running, I could sleep in this RV.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, well, if I do that, then I'm gonna need someone to drive, because
Right,
I'm
you
not
can't
gonna be like,
run
run
10 miles that way.
yeah,
10 miles
go
back.
back, drive the RV. Like, that wouldn't make any sense. So, yeah, so that's how I thought of the whole thing. Just like logistically, what is the simplest way to break this whole thing down?
Yeah.
And I remember there was this videographer that had like lived out of a van that Alan connected me with, and he totally fit the whole description. And he didn't want to get going until like the end of June, and I was so just like ready to get this thing going,
Yeah.
that I was like, I can't wait that long. And so I got to be honest, the first thing I thought is like, because this is what, when you're starting something, this is what you think about. You're like, oh, maybe this is a sign that I shouldn't keep going with this. Like, oh, one thing already went wrong right at the beginning. Maybe
Right.
it's a sign I should stop. And then I thought to myself, hold on a second. Who in their right mind would drive me across America that I know, that I'm friends with?
Mm-hmm.
And I remember Nate Heiser in college telling me, I'll never forget it. He just said, how cool would it be to be like a truck driver and see America through, like, just driving around it?
Yeah.
Driving through it, I guess. And I was just like, oh my God, I wonder what Nate's up to. So I called up Nate. I actually texted him first, and I said, I like kind of like, built some suspense. I was like, hey, I got a big job opportunity for you. Let's talk later. And he's at work, and he told me later, he's like, dude, I was just like, so like, oh, I wonder what it is. It's Brady. It must be something really
Of
crazy.
course.
And so I call him up, and within the first, I'd say like 30 seconds of telling him the whole idea, he was like, I'm in. Let's do it. I'll be your
I
driver.
remember you posted that on Instagram.
Yeah, I posted that video of his reaction. Because I told my friend, I was like, I could just feel it. I was like, I feel like something good's about to happen with
Yeah.
this. And that was the first assurance, like, this is gonna happen. This is
Dude,
like,
he was
I was
so in.
fired up. I
He
was
was
so
so
excited.
in.
And
That's so funny.
so I talked with him, and I was like, how quickly, he was living in Montana at the time, working at this ski resort.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, how quickly can you get out to the East Coast? And he was like, well, I'm probably going to go say bye to my family first in Arizona in the next week. That's what he did. And then literally 2 weeks later, he was already in New York to meet me. So things were moving really quick. My goal was to start on May 5th. And I spent a couple days in New York just at my friend's place, just kind of, I guess, like preparing a little. I don't know. Like it was mostly just spending time with him as one of my really close friends, Brandon, and he let me stay at his place, and I actually like ran a one day through like New York a little bit.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So, anyways,
Little warm up.
yeah. Anyways, so Nate gets out there, and the last thing I have to do is find an RV, and I did a little bit of RV research and stuff, and I ended up just we had all our bags packed, and we're like, all right, we're gonna go to this RV place in New Jersey. It was a Saturday, and I think they were closing at like 1 p.m. And I was like, we're just gonna go with all our luggage, and we're gonna get this RV today. And on the way, I was like a little uneasy about it because I'm like, maybe they have to like clean it out, and it takes some time after you like pay.
Yeah.
And anyways, I call, and the manager's like, hey, so you guys need the RV today? And I was like, yeah, like I'm running across. I told him the story. I'm running across America, and I need to start tomorrow, May 5th.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, it's not gonna happen, man. Like, I'm sorry, but it takes like a couple hours to clean the thing out and blah blah. And I just kept, dude. I was all in. We had all our luggage and everything,
Yeah.
and we're already in the Uber, like over to this guy's place. Like an hour, it was probably a 2 hour drive and like $100 Uber. I was like, I was in at this point, and I was just like, no, man, like we need it today. And he was like, is that like a deal breaker for you guys? And I just bluffed. It wasn't, but I
Right.
bluffed, and I was like, yeah,
Yeah,
deal
they're
breaker,
trying to
hands
get that
down.
sale.
Like we
Yeah.
had no other option. It's not like we had a backup, you
Right.
know?
Right.
And he's like, all right, well, the guys will work overtime today and make it happen. So
Wow.
they made it happen. We get the RV. It was a Leprechaun RV, Coachman, and we actually nicknamed it Zenyatta. We came up with a
Why is
nickname for it.
Why?
No,
Why
yeah. So
Zenyatta?
Zenyatta is like this famous. It's random that I am into this, but I just fell in love with the story. It's about a horse. It was a female horse, and she went 19-1. So she was undefeated until her last race is the only race she ever lost. And she was notorious for being in the back the whole race, and then like
Oh.
the last turn, she would just turn it on and win.
Turtle versus the hare.
And so yeah, we loved it, and so we called it Zenyatta, and we just picked this spot on the coast of New Jersey. It was Keensburg, New Jersey, and on May 5th, we went out to the beach. There was maybe two other people on the beach, like probably local fishermen, and it was cloudy, it was rainy, it was cold, and I just went out to the water, I touched it, and me and Nate did a kind of like a video
Yeah.
of all the emotions I was feeling at the time, and I just said, you know what, like this isn't just for me. Like and it's not like I was 100% out of the depression. I'm still not. It's not like 100% gone, but I was able to get myself out of that situation,
Yep.
and I wanted to prove to everyone out there that anything is possible. And I said that I was like, this isn't just for me. This is for all of you, and that's why I documented the whole thing. And that first day, I think I ran like I think I was looking at this the other day, like 9.4 miles.
First day.
And my goal for that first month was, let's see if we can run 10 miles a day.
Yeah.
And I averaged 10.8 miles that first month. I remember celebrated at like a not Dunkin' Donuts, Krispy Kreme Donuts place.
That's right.
After getting over 300 miles. Because in my life, like, I had never done anything like this.
Yeah.
So there's so many points along the run where it was all milestones for me. People looking in would always say to me, "You have like 3,000 miles left, bro. Oh my god, like that sucks." And like they would always look at how many miles I had left, and I would always try to look at how far I had come up until that point. And yeah, I mean,
So your first month, you're already exceeding what you expected your entire average to be, or you were just like, did when
I
you when you
guess,
hit
yeah, that's a good way to look at it, I guess. And then I remember for the second month, I said to myself, I said, maybe I could do 12 miles this month. And I want to say it got 14. And after that, I said, to hell with this, like, oh, maybe I can get like 1 or 2 miles more. I was just like, let's see how far we can push this every day.
and mind you, every month you're raising money for charity, right? Did that start in the first month?
Yeah, so that was also something that was really beautiful. My family, before leaving, they were telling me, they're like, you're gonna be doing this and raising so much attention, like, what, and support. Why don't you raise money for charity? So I when I was out there, I chose 12 charities and organizations that like were just so close to home, that like meant so much to me,
Yeah.
that I could run for. So a few of them were like Make a Wish. My sister was granted a wish when she was going through cancer. Um, and she's now a cancer survivor. So I thought to myself, you know what? Like, it was so hard growing up and like having to just hang out at the hospital all the time. So like that one day of like we went to Universal Studios, and um, just to get outside of the hospital and do that was really special. So I thought to be able to grant someone else a wish would be amazing through this run.
Right.
Um,
Great, great motivator, huh?
yeah. So I ran for that one, Cystic Fibrosis Foundation. So I have this tattoo on my left arm, and it's 3 L's. It stands for Live Like Liam. And so he's a family friend. His name's Liam Hearn, and he passed away through cystic fibrosis. And all the doctors, though, like, said he was going to live to be 2 years old. And he lived to be, I want to say he was 25 when he
Wow.
passed. And I mean, this guy, dude, heart of a lion, always a smile on his face. When, like, I think at the peak he was like taking like 80 different pills a day. Like,
Wow.
just, it was unbelievable. But he was always so positive, and I wanted his spirit to live on,
Right.
and raise money for them. And the last big one for me was National Alliance on Mental Illness.
Okay.
Just kind of through the depression that I went through, and I've lost some friends to suicide, unfortunately. And um, I think I think that is something that is so taboo, and like even saying that word, it's like some people don't even like to say it. So I really wanted to make it okay to not be okay, and help out in any way with that I
Yeah.
could. So
That's awesome, man. I mean, that's such a great way to like. For you, I mean, for one, I mean, you're raising money for important charities, but like for you to be like on the off days, where you're like, you want to be on a beach.
yeah, Marty always gives me a hard time. So there's this one day I'm in Tennessee, and I was actually sick. I was sick for a full week, and I didn't take one rest day. I just kept running through it. And I remember one of the days, man, the cold I hadn't kicked it, obviously, because I was being a madman. I probably should have been sleeping instead of running, but I was like, I have this challenge. I got to do it. And I remember I just woke up and I posted this video like, oh, I wish I could just be on the beach today in
Just
San Diego,
chilling.
just chilling. And Marty always gives me a hard time for it, but
Oh, I love that video.
yeah, I mean, dude, of all the things that happened on the run, um, the hardest part that I tell people is that thing I was talking about of your perspective on the whole thing. When I was in West Virginia, my best friend, like told me, he was like, "Oh, how many miles do you have left?" Oh my God, that sucks, you know? And again, it was just thinking about what I could do every day and not worrying about a week ahead, a month ahead, two
Yep.
months ahead,
Yep.
you know, because then it would just become like, oh my gosh, it would become really intimidating. I would be like, I have like 5 states left or 7 states left.
Right.
And I remember when I got, I think I was in Texas, and I put up a day's calendar in the RV. So this was in my head. I was like, okay, I could probably do this amount of miles per day for the rest of the trip. And I think it was 67. I had approximated, I have 67 days left that I have to run. And I remember ever since I put that sheet up, it messed with me so hard.
Yeah.
Because in my head, I thought, oh, 67 days isn't that long. But then when I really sat to think about it, I was like, that's 2 months more.
Yeah.
Oh my
And you're
gosh,
already
you know?
dog tired.
And so that was the biggest thing for me, man. Whether I was feeling it, not feeling it, I would just say to myself, what can I do right now in this moment? Even when I would be on a run and it would suck, like, yeah, this happened even towards the end of the run, but I would be running, not feeling it, want to stop running, and I would just say to myself, just run 10 more yards to that sign right there. And when I would get to the sign, I would say, all right, I would choose another object, maybe 10 yards away.
Mm-hmm.
All right, get to that rock. All right,
Yeah.
just keep going, get to that next thing.
Yeah.
And that's honestly, that was it, man. Like, I would literally just break it down to how I can get that done. And so that first month, right, I did 10 miles a day.
Right.
The last 2 months, I was averaging about 20 miles every
That's so
day.
crazy, dude.
I finished the whole run, New Jersey to San Diego in 7 months, 8 days, 3,311 miles, 14 states, and priceless. I mean,
Brady,
it was just like,
you went from running 3 miles and being like, man, it's tough. And then you did a half marathon, and at the end of it, your first thing was, God, how do people do a full one? And you're doing basically full Ironmans on the daily. That's crazy.
yeah.
One, and then
You
two.
mean full marathons?
Yeah, what did I say?
Full Ironmans?
My bad.
No, you're good.
Okay, yeah, full.
Yeah,
marathons.
there was no bodies of water near us in, like,
Dude, yeah, that's
Texas.
crazy, man. Just like desert. And then the other thing is you seem to have a personality which seems to be very helpful, and that I've learned from you, which is like tackle one thing on at a time. Kind of like when you were like, all right, I'm going to do this half marathon, and then you tackled your full marathon, and then even that morning you knew I'm going to run across America, but first I got to do this marathon. Like just do the
Yeah.
marathon. And then all right, just do the half Ironman. And then on your run, you like chopped it down like that too. You're like, all right, just today, okay, just run to that rock. Okay, now just run to that sign. Like that
Yeah.
seems to be a very helpful tool to not get overwhelmed or like think there's like being in the moment of like what you're doing right now.
Yeah, and
It's some good philosophy, man.
another thing I was thinking about the other day, because I've done a lot of public speaking since this at schools and trying to tell people things I've learned through doing something like this. And I think a big thing was my expectations going in. So I remember maybe it was like a week or two into this thing, and I had like something was messing with my toes. Like I had maybe an ingrown toenail from all the running. Like it was messed up, and like it was hurting me on my run. And I had to, like, I think, take out the nail, or I had to do something really uncomfortable. And I just remember thinking, I was like complaining about it, and I was really like upset and angry. And what that experience, I mean, again, very little experience, but later on when I would have really big injuries and things go wrong, I would go back to this. I signed up for it. And I think what is so amazing about something like this is if you have a big dream, it's all up to you. And you sign up for it when you
Right.
go for it.
Yep.
What does that mean? No one is going to put in the work and effort to accomplish your dream more than you will. But what that also means is like when it's hard, like you can't complain about it. I like I didn't go into this like, oh, I'm gonna run across America and
Yeah.
it's gonna be easy.
Yeah.
I actually went into
Cakewalk.
it with the mindset of this is gonna be the hardest thing that I've ever had to do in my whole life.
Yeah.
And it was. And so when I would go through these things, instead of asking myself like why, I would just think like in Arkansas, I almost tore my Achilles tendon.
Yeah.
And I remember, dude, I just thought to myself at first, like real quick, and I guess it's a normal reaction. I said to myself, dude, I'm running. At that point, it was almost 20 miles a day. And I was like, I'm putting in all this hard work. I've worked my ass off. I feel like I'm being a good person out here. I'm doing everything right. And then this happens? Like, are you kidding me? Like, I've been stretching, I've been doing everything. Like,
Yeah.
how does it? And I think that's what so much of us do. It's almost like
Victim
we use
mentality.
it as like a personal attack. Like, and dude, like Nate said something to me, and I always remember it. He said this is gonna make the finish that much sweeter, and that was the truth of it. It's like almost like the shit, and I just cussed again, that we go through. It's like, bro, that makes us so much stronger. It's almost like, and I've said this to my mom because she feels like a little partly guilty for maybe passing down some, I don't know, genes of depression. I feel like everyone goes through some type of depression in life, so it's not a big deal at
Right.
all. But and I've told her, I said, Mom, I'm grateful for my depression. If I didn't go through my depression,
Right.
there's no chance in hell I would have been able to accomplish what I did.
Right.
It's almost like while you're going through it, it's hard to say that and see it, but I see that so clear now that like those obstacles I grew like one of my favorite artists, Dermot Kennedy, says this in one of his songs. He says like the problems that we've grown through. He
Mm-hmm.
doesn't say go through. He says
Oh yeah.
grown through.
Right.
And that's the truth of it. Like I think these obstacles are made for us to grow through them.
Right.
Um, there's a great story too about like it's I want to say it's lobsters. They're shells. Have you heard this?
Yeah, I was literally about to say that.
Okay, yeah. So lobster shells, um, their bodies keep growing to the point where their shells can't. They become too small for them, and they literally have to break their shell, and it's the most uncomfortable and discomforting thing that they have to go through in their whole life.
Right.
But they have to do it so often because, as you know, lobster are just always growing. They keep growing throughout their whole life. They don't stop. It can't keep growing if it doesn't break the shell and go through that discomfort. So
Right.
I think it's an interesting uh, kind of example of what we go through. Like, yes, we don't like it, and change is scary and all those things, but it is necessary for growth, and
Right.
definitely was in my case.
What doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Kelly
Um.
Clarkson, baby.
Yep. We're gonna get in trouble for that. Okay. Um. If you like play a song on a
Oh no,
podcast, you
no,
get in
no.
trouble.
I mean,
Okay.
maybe if you sing like her,
No, I won't do that.
let's hear a vocal.
Nah, dude. That's not me. Okay, and then I guess the last part, dude, is this podcast. So like, why did you start doing this podcast?
So, yeah, I mean, it's kind of crazy how all that came about when I was on the run and I was about to finish up. I started thinking of what I was gonna do next, and what's really cool about this time going through going through it, I've probably been asked just as many times as what are you gonna do after the run? What are you gonna do after the run? And I've been very I've been very calm with my response, and um, I don't know. I think I want to continue exploring things that I'm interested in. This has taught me that something that I hated, I grew to love, and
Yep.
really like saved my life in so many ways. So this podcast is is something where, when I first did Sunnyco, I'll just say this: when I first did Sunnyco, I always wanted to inspire people, and I always wanted to like be someone that others could look to, and I could like help others kind of.
Mm-hmm.
And when I finished Sunnyco, I remember kind of thinking like, oh, maybe this was a fluke. Like, who knows? Again, when I was younger, like I never really thought I would be successful, and I kind of talked about that on my dad's episode. Um, and when I did this run, man, it was like, yeah, like that's what's up, like I've proved to myself that I'm capable of something so amazing like that. So now all I want to do is inspire the 16-year-old Brady Silverwood out there.
Right.
So the guy who doesn't have any clue what he's going to do in his life, boom, I've been there. The guy that maybe isn't great in sports, boom, been there. Guy that isn't the best in school and academics, that was me. So I want to share my experiences, and not like, I think so many people are like, you should do this or you should do that. I don't want to be that. I want to be the guy that can just share my experiences, and in hopes that other people just start. Because like we talked about in that car, everyone thought it was a good idea. I was the only one to execute.
Right.
For the run, and we didn't really go over this part, but when I announced that I was going to do the run, a good amount of people supported me, but I'm not going to say who it is because I know they came from a really good place, but someone tried to talk me out of doing it. They literally said, I don't think you should do this. And I could have said yes. I said, you're right. But I didn't. So here's the thing. So many of us think that we need to know everything. So for my business, they would have been like, oh, but you didn't know anything about the clothing business, or you didn't know anything about swimwear or skirts or fashion or what women like, or all these things,
Mm-hmm.
or building a website, or all these things. It's like, yes, it's okay. There are people out there that are learning as they go.
Yep.
So do one thing, and once you do one thing, like even with this podcast, before we even filmed the first episode, Marty and I was at your house, and we're getting together the intro and outro, and all of a sudden Marty's putting a beat behind it, and then I'm recording my intro like, what's up, it's Brady Silverwood, like, um yeah. So like even when we're doing those things, like, I don't know if you felt it, I felt this, it's momentum. It's like you don't have to do everything at the beginning.
Right.
But once we started doing that, it was like, all right, we got the intro outro.
Right.
Dope. All right, we got the beat. Dope. Um, Now we got the name of the podcast. Cool. We got the Instagram going now. Cool. Let's try to get let's get the all the equipment. Cool. Check. Got that. Let's get now my dad to be the first guest. Cool. Check. Got that. Then it's like, all right, next week let's do this again. Let's see if we can meet up again. Who's gonna be the next guest? And it just keeps going and going and going, and now I'm already advertising on Facebook, Instagram ads for the podcast, and
Right.
I'm trying to tell more people about it because I feel like it can bring people value. So it just keeps going and going, and I think a lot of our minds will go to that. There's 3,000 miles left, or they'll go to that. Podcast is a very saturated market, or Joe Rogan's podcast is number one and has this many downloads and has this guest on it, and Brady, your podcast doesn't.
Right.
And it's like, yo, it's okay. That I'm pretty damn sure it took Joe Rogan a long time to get to where he is.
Right.
All these people that you see and that you look up to and praise, they had their, skirt tag moment where it was like, oh, I really effed this up. Or they had that moment where they got, they don't have a manufacturer, but they have all these orders. Like they all go through these things. And this time around, my biggest point, and I made a point of this during the run, is to enjoy the process.
Yep.
Because I could make this podcast number one in the world, and like, I don't know, and say downloads, right? In that category, whatever. That's cool and all, but why? Like and if it's just to inspire people, that's also cool. But if it's almost like you gotta, like, if you're on a plane, right, and the cabin loses oxygen, you get your oxygen good first so you can help the people around you. You know how they always say, like, the parents put on your thing first.
Right.
It's kind of like with a business or anything you do. You need to make sure that you are finding a way to enjoy like we're all gonna die. We're not all gonna be here forever. Let's enjoy this shit.
Right.
And so,
cursed again, but yeah.
What?
You cursed again.
Oh, okay.
That's number 3. No, dude, you're right.
So yeah, I'm just trying to enjoy the process with this, and like, I'll be honest, like, I really believe that this is what I should be doing right now, and like, I think I need to give myself, like, I think it's cool, but I've been noticing recently when I tell people, I'm really critical on their reactions if they think it's cool. And almost there was a point with like my run and something similar where I was just like, it is dope, Brady, that you're running across America. Like, this is cool. Like, give yourself that, like, almost like pat on the back. Like, yes, like, you're doing something you're excited about and you love. It doesn't matter what other people think. So kind of going through that, and dude, like, I went through so much doubt on that run, so much doubt. I don't think there was one day where I didn't have doubt. But in the end, you can doubt yourself all you want, but you can still put on your shoes, go outside, and go for a run. And like, I always would just tell myself that, like, it doesn't matter what you're feeling or thinking, just go do it.
Right.
Just get out there and go do it, and then I'd be a few miles in and be like, hell yeah. Like, we're already almost done, so you can already kind of see the finish line. So, yeah, man, I'm really enjoying doing this with you so far, and this is gonna be our 3rd episode, and I'm really, like, my intent with this is so real. Like, I want someone to come to me one day and say, when I was listening to the Start podcast, it gave me the courage to start this or whatever it is.
Right.
And I'll just, like, in my heart know, like wow, that's amazing, because like I said, we're all gonna go someday, and like, I'm now searching for something bigger than myself to help others, and yeah, do that, I guess, in my journey. So
yeah, dude, and I mean, it's good that you're saying that, because I feel like a lot of people think you have to know all about the clothing business and like how it's gonna work before they even like take a first step, and then they get so overwhelmed by that idea that they don't even start it. Whereas, you're kind of spreading that message where you start and you learn as you go. Like, I didn't know how to do all this, like all your audio engineering and like editing videos. I had no idea, but we just like.
Now you tell me. I love it. No, it's all good.
In the job interview, I was saying a little different things, but
that's it, bro. And like, one of my friends that I'm gonna have on, Brandon, he has an amazing company, sells like worldwide, like, retail of all this amazing product, and he told me that one time too. So he was just like, he's like, dude, I said I could do it. Did I know if I could actually like fulfill this promise and
Yeah.
whatever? And he's like, no, but it's someone said this. It's like you jump without what's the it's do you know what I'm talking about? It's like something with like out of a plane and a parachute.
No idea.
I don't know. And
We have a lot
anyways,
of
it's like
analogies today, dude. I
yeah,
like it.
lots of
The
analogies.
airplane,
I'm
gas
like
mask, the
getting
lobsters.
exhausted with all these analogies now, but pretty much you don't have to have a plan. You figure out the plan on the way down.
Yeah, dude.
Type
No
of
one
thing.
does, man. No one does.
I wouldn't
You're
suggest
proof.
jumping now that I just said this. Don't jump out of an airplane without a parachute and say start told me to do that. Okay? Cool.
Oh man. All right, dude. Well, I think that's a good way to wrap up.
Yeah, we got a
Episode
car
3.
in the parking lot
Yeah, we got a
honking
car
right now,
honking.
so that's a good sign. Maybe our car just got broken into.
Yeah, that's a sign, dude. All right, dude. Well, it was fun.
This has been great.
I can't
bro.
wait to get back on that side of the camera.
Yeah, I can get back to
What do I
the
do with
left
my
side of the
hands?
couch.
Dude, yeah, we're lobsters, man. We're seeking discomfort.
Alright.
I've grown from this experience. You've grown.
Love you, bro.
Love you, bro. Good stuff.
Executive producer.